Greetings, everyone. This is Lieutenant Colonel Alan West, and welcome to the Steadfast and Loyal podcast.
You gotta light 'em up before they burn it down. Better dig deep and put 'em in the ground. Blood on their hands, they're hellbound. Save us all. Ooh, they're gonna burn it down. Save us all before they burn it down.
This episode of the Steadfast and Loyal podcast is brought to you by our friends at the United States Concealed Carry Association. Being a responsibly armed American is both an honor and a responsibility, and it's not one to be taken lightly. If you own a gun, then you need the self-defense education, training, and self-defense liability insurance that you get with a USCCA membership. Click Learn More below right now to explore your membership options, which are risk-free with the USCCA's bulletproof money-back guarantee. Don't wait. Click Learn More right now. And as always, the USCCA is not an insurance company. A policy has been issued to the USCCA by Universal Fire and Casualty Insurance Company. That policy provides the association and its members with self-defense liability insurance subject to its terms, conditions, limitations, and exclusions. And if you've been paying attention to what happened in the case of Sergeant Daniel Perry down in Austin, Texas, that's a reason why you need to be covered by the United States Concealed Carry Association. We'll be right back. Enes Kanter Freedom. He is a Turkish-born American professional basketball player who is currently a free agent. He was born in Switzerland to Turkish parents, but he was raised in Turkey and moved to the United States of America as a teenager. Freedom was selected as the third overall pick of the 2011 NBA draft by the Utah Jazz. And this is even without him playing college basketball here in the United States of America, and we'll talk about that. A center, Freedom played for 5 NBA teams during his 11-year career. Between 2008 and 2015, he represented the Turkish national team in international play. On November the 29th of 2021, Kanter became a U.S. citizen and officially changed his last name to Freedom. He has been an outspoken activist when it comes to Turkey and President Erdogan, and has been one of the very few NBA players speaking out against the Chinese Communist Party. Enes Kanter Freedom, welcome to the Steadfast and Loyal podcast.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate that.
Let's talk about your history. You come here to the United States of America. You're an incredibly talented basketball player. You got offered, to go and play at the University of Kentucky. I'm kind of glad you didn't, because I went to the University of Tennessee, and I absolutely hate, the Wildcats when it comes to basketball. But tell us about early on, you playing ball here in the United States and, of course, playing internationally. How were you able, because, it's kind of unheard of, how were you able to jump right in and be so highly drafted in the NBA in the 2011 draft?
When actually my parents sent me to America to play basketball and get my education at the same time. So
Yeah.
that was one of the biggest reasons that I came here. And my family didn't want me to be in an environment like Turkey, where the politicians, when they want to be elected again, they attack others. They attack Americans. They attack Jewish people. They attack Christians. So my dad didn't want me to grow up in an environment like that. So he sent me to America. I came here. I actually went to high school in Simi Valley, California.
Yes.
Then I went to college in Kentucky. It was a beautiful experience. I know I couldn't get to play basketball because, I was a professional player in Turkey, so I couldn't get to play. But I still had a lot of fun. I learned another language. I get to practice with my teammates, and I got drafted by by Utah Jazz. So it was an awesome experience. So I get to, coming to America definitely opened so many doors with obviously so many questions, but it definitely opened my eyes.
Well, it's interesting that that was the case back for you in the late 2000s there, because today when I look at college basketball, I mean, with the name and license, and basically we have created
Mhm.
a free agency in college basketball with this transfer portal. It's almost as if we're treating college basketball and even college football athletes as professional athletes already.
Right. I mean, no, no. When I mean, in my years, I couldn't get to play because I was a professional. But I always hated the NCAA rules. If you ask in my personal opinion,
Yes, yeah,
because they were just so harsh, and NCAA itself making billions of dollars, but the players, you can't even buy them a lunch.
yeah.
So I mean, I turned down millions of dollars in overseas and came here to play college basketball. And when they said, no, you're not eligible to play, and that was just very frustrating. So,
Yeah, I can imagine. And like I say today, I always believed if they had just given these young athletes some type of stipend, but now we have, like I say, the NIL and all of this transfer portal getting involved. We are allowing money to come in and get involved in
yeah.
college athletics and sports. So, what was it like, playing in the National Basketball Association? And, I remember reading about how you were so excited about going to Utah because of the fan base out there. There are very incredible fans in Utah.
Mhm.
Tell us about that experience of being a National Basketball Association athlete.
It was amazing. Obviously, I got drafted by third pick, so it was the highest uh, that anyone got drafted by in the Turkey. So I was definitely an honor for me. And Utah was an amazing place because because the Mormons, they're really close to my religion, so there was not many distraction. I could have focused on basketball. We had a beautiful 3.5 years. We made the playoffs, and we had so many good runs. Um, I think getting drafted, seeing Coach Cal. Not sure if you like him or not, but
No, I do.
he was an amazing coach to me.
Yeah.
But representing not only myself but my country, my family, my school, everyone. It was definitely an honor. So getting, especially top three pick, is like the whole world talking about you. So I
Yeah.
did have so much fun.
Now, when you look at the five teams that you've played with, I mean, Utah, you've been with
Uh-huh.
Boston. I think you did a little time here in Texas even. What was your most memorable team? What was your best experience, would you say? I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but
Yeah. I mean, I loved all of them, but like as a fan base, definitely Oklahoma. But obviously, as a city and
yeah.
the New York, you cannot beat New York. It was unbelievable, especially like when, whenever we play games, there's this thing called Celebrity Row, right? So
Uh-huh.
like I literally used to stop watching the games, and I was like, okay, which celebrity came to the game? You see like Shakira, you see Ronaldo, you see like these like amazing like A plus whatever celebrities coming in watching you play basketball. I'm like, this is like the coolest thing. And it's also like Madison Square Garden was
Yeah.
just it's just different, man. There is so many different arenas, so many different, basketball court, but MSG, you can never beat that.
Did you get a chance to meet Spike Lee? Because I know he's a
I
regular.
did.
Yeah.
Many of them actually became our really good friends. And Spike Lee, I see Tracy Morgan, Ben Stiller every day. They were just huge basketball fans. And like I remember like I used to like start texting them and like start DMing them and stuff. And when they said like, hey man, good game last night, we are a big fan of you. And I'm like, I grew up watching you, especially like Ben Stiller. I'm like, I grew up watching you. You're like one of my childhood heroes, and you're telling me I am your hero. I was like, wow, that's very special.
But isn't that, and this is the essence what I think America is, the equality of opportunity that says one day you're watching someone on television and then the next day they're paying to come watch you. The opportunity to be able to do that. My 22 years in the Army, we used to have a motto that has come back. It said, be all you can be. So when you decided, to get your American citizenship, what did that mean to you? And changing your last name to Freedom, what does that word mean to you?
You know, I remember, when I was in high school, after the practice, we were sitting down with my teammates and we are just, having conversations and laughing and stuff. So I'm looking at my phone, and one of my teammate he was criticizing the president. He was saying something against him, and I'm like, I immediately turned around. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? He said, what happened? I was like, I saw your post. I was like, okay. I was like, well, you might be in jail tomorrow. And all my teammates started to laugh. And I'm like, why? I was like, why are you guys laughing? They said, buddy, this is not Turkey, this is America. And I was like very confused. I'm like, what are you talking about? They said, well, we have freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of expression. Not just, you would not be jailed just because of you say something against the governor or president. And I was like very confused. I thought they were just talking to a different language because I never, my whole life, experienced anything like that before. My manager's wife, she's Turkish, and her dad liked one of my tweet on Twitter. He was in jail for 13 days
Wow.
for liking a tweet. So so the time goes on. My college teammates and even NBA teammates, when the conversation was about Turkey, not China, they were really supportive. They were explaining me the things that we have in America and stuff. So I was like, this word is like one of the most beautiful things that the human being can have. So let me just make this word part of me and carry it everywhere I go. So in every arena, people can chant freedom and freedom. All these kids can be inspired. So that's how I changed my last name.
That's incredible. But the challenge that I think we have now in America is that for whatever reason, we're seeing this censorship. We're starting to see some of the things that you once upon a time never would have believed would happen. I mean, I remember as a young lieutenant in the Army when I went on the other side of Checkpoint Charlie to East Berlin, and the things that I saw there and the philosophies that I never thought would be here. What is your warning to the American people when you see some of the very disturbing things that are happening here in America? Because I think a lot of Americans who have never really traveled anywhere or had
Yeah.
any experiences outside these borders, they don't understand, what they could be losing here. So what's your thoughts and perspectives on that?
So my last year in NBA, right? I'm sitting down with my teammates, and that's when I started to criticize China and started to talk about this and that. So I remember the conversation that they were having. They were criticizing America. They're saying, well, America is so bad. We have this. We're terrible, blah, blah, right? I was like, I joined the conversation. I stopped them for a second. I was like, listen, guys, season is about to be over, in a couple months. And when the season is over, let me take you guys in some of the countries out there, like Iran, like China, like Russia, like North Korea, Venezuela, Cuba. I can go on and on, right? And you guys will see the real dictatorship there. Let me see if you guys can forget about going out there and interviewing about the government. Let me see if you guys can even tweet about those governments. You will be, and also your family members will be tortured and raped in Turkey, in jails. So to my message to Americans are, we need to wake up before it's too late, because Turkey was a democratic country before
Yes.
Erdogan, and you lose it in a heartbeat. If you don't care about it enough, if you take it for granted, you could literally lose it in a heartbeat. So obviously I'm not putting Turkey and America in the same caliber, whatever, but like it could still happen.
Well,
The more I research, the more I realize, when the whole China thing happened, NBA is not the only one. You see Hollywood, Wall Street, academias, big tech, Congress, local congresses, farmland. And I'm like this is getting out of control, and we have to do something about it.
Well, you bring up a great point because if you go back and you understand, the father of modern Turkey, Kemal Ataturk, and what he
Yep.
wanted Turkey to be, he wanted a secular Islamic nation.
Yep.
He wanted a nation that was not focused on being a theocracy. He wanted a democratic nation and those institutions. But you're right. Since Erdogan has come to power, and it's very disconcerting because, Turkey is a NATO member, you have seen the suppressions of rights and freedoms and liberties and things of this nature. And if I'm correct, they even put a bounty out on you, hundreds of thousands of dollars. I mean,
Yeah.
what kind of country has Turkey become now?
It's sad to see what's my country going through, actually, because Turkey could have been a bridge of Islam and West.
Yeah.
But just because of all these things are happening right now, it's impossible, you know. And Turkey was a secular country, but right now its easiest way to brainwash people is to use religion, and Erdogan is doing that. Whenever he goes on the rallies and he holds the holy book of Quran and says, whatever I'm doing for the name of God. So if I am corrupt, if I'm stealing from people, if I'm putting innocent people in jail, I'm doing for the name of God, doing for the sake of country. And people are like, oh my God, he's doing it for the God, so let's just vote for him.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure you notice, if you're in Middle East, especially in countries like Turkey, if you want to be elected again, you do two things. You attack America, you attack Israel. People, the base is so uneducated. They're like, wow, look at our leader. He's standing tall against America. He's standing tall against Israel. So let's vote for him. Yeah. In some of the countries in the Middle East, front of classes in schools, they have American flags and they have Israeli flags. And if you are a little kid, if you're a student, if you don't step on these flags, you're not allowed to attend the class, you know? So I'm coming from an environment like that. And Turkey is now becoming more and more bad because, like I said again, Turkey could have been a bridge of East and West.
Yeah.
But I don't see it is happening till Erdogan is gone.
It's far more radicalized, and you do have a theocracy that is coming apart, and you do have a dictator there. Let's transition, talk about China, because I see China as our number one geopolitical foe.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you've been very outspoken as far as the NBA and their relationship. And I cannot understand why, with all the human rights violations, you have NBA players that are talking about human rights violations and racism and things in the United States of America, but yet they will go completely silent when they're talking about China. What
because
is
it hits their pocket?
Well, that's what I'm saying. What is the stranglehold that the Communist Chinese Party has, not just on the NBA, but on the United States of America with some of the things that we're seeing?
So I started realizing that actually, just very recently, because the last 10 years I started to focus on Turkey because obviously my plate was full. I haven't seen my family for 10 years. I was just focused on that dictatorship. But, the more I remember, I'm doing a basketball camp last summer, right? And all the kids just lined up in front of me. They're taking pictures, getting autographs. And I took a picture with this kid, and his parent called me out in front of everybody and said, how can you call yourself a human rights activist when your Muslim brothers and sisters are getting tortured and raped every day in concentration camp in China? And I'm still smiling for the camera. So I heard
the
that.
Uyghurs we're
yes,
talking about.
Uyghurs. I heard that, and I'm like, I promise I'm going to get back to you. I went back to my hotel. I started to research and research about what's going on. But on the internet, you can find all kind of news. We you don't know which one to trust or not. So I called my manager. I was like, you know what? I need you to find me a concentration camp survivor. So he found me a lady. We sit down, had a conversation. She was telling me about all the torture methods, all the, organ harvesting for sterilization and abortion and gang raping. And I'm like, I just couldn't believe it. At the end of our conversation, I asked her, I was like, okay, what can I do to help you? She said, I'm good. I don't need your help. So I was like, so we just had this 1 hour conversation for no reason? She said, no. She said, I live in America. I can do whatever I want. I can say whatever I want. I can eat whatever I want. I can go wherever I want. Help those 2-3 million, Uyghurs are in concentration camps, are getting tortured and raped every day. So at that point, I was like, you know what? I have to help those people, because the thing is, no one could have challenged me because it's non-political. It doesn't matter you from the right, you from the left, you vote for Biden, Obama, Trump, whoever you vote for, you have to care about human rights, So I started to speak up, and obviously it did hit NBA's pocket because China literally canceled every Celtics game in television in a halftime, first game. It took them 24 minutes, and then that was it.
It is disturbing to me, and I'm sure quite disconcerting to people watching this interview, that the Communist Chinese Party could put a kibosh on the National Basketball Association and we kowtow to them. And this is just a sports event. Now, when you translate that to the bigger foreign
Mhm.
policy issues that we have, you know, why is it that we have ceded so much power to the Communist Chinese Party? Is it just so important for the NBA to have a Chinese market for basketball that they can't stand up against these human rights violations? I mean, when I see kids in Hong Kong carrying an American flag
Yeah.
and singing the national anthem, but yet I see kids here in America, burning an American flag and talk about how America's bad, it's almost as if I want to switch those groups of young people and say, okay, you go stay in Hong Kong for a little while and see, what's going on there. Why is it that we are kowtowing to China in such a way? And why is it that you saying such simple truths, asking such simple questions, you're getting some type of backlash against that because of that?
For them, it is all about money and business. That's it. When NBA put us in a bubble 2 years ago, I'm sure you followed it very, very closely. They were all about social justice, which I
Yeah.
respect. We have freedom of protest in this country. If you're a peaceful protesters, sure, that's what you believe in, and I cannot say nothing against it. So they were putting all this, logos on the floor and
Yes, I
phrases behind
remember.
our jersey, which was controlled by the NBA. You know, we couldn't pick what we wanted to pick. So if you wanted to pick "Stand with Hong Kong" behind your jersey, you couldn't because NBA wasn't allowed. Anyway, so and they were going out there. They were the first organization said we are more than basketball league. We care about social justice and blah blah. I was like, okay, cool. That's what you believe in. Stand up for it. But then 2 years later, this happened. I started to criticize China. I started to, you know, talk about the human rights violation, which is a non-political issue. And all my friends, everyone literally just vanished. They were just nowhere to be found. And I asked my teammates, I'm like, dude, like just join me. We'll create a movement. We talk about human rights and political prisoners. You know, they said, well, I think what you're doing is so amazing. We love you. We support you, but we just cannot do it out loud. I was like, why? They said, well, we have shoe deals, endorsement deals, we have jersey sales. We want to get another NBA contract. I asked them one simple question. I was like, put yourself in their shoes. If your mother, if your sister, if your daughter was in those concentration camps, getting tortured and raped every day, would you still pick money and business over your morals? They usually turn around and leave the room. It was the perfect moment for me because it was just right before the Beijing Olympics. So I literally try to reach out to everyone. Forget about an NBA. I try to reach out to NFL, MLB, NHL, MLS. I even try to reach out to Olympians, which was going to go to Beijing for Winter Olympics. They all said the same thing. I don't want to expose who they are here because there are some like very like big names, and
Yeah.
I promised them I was like, I'm not going to tell you who you are, but just join me. Anyway, um, it's just sad to see what people are like. They will care about social justice until it hits their pocket. NBA knew when you stand up for the things that are happening in America, you're not gonna lose any money in endorsement deals. But you say anything about China, it's a billions of dollars of contract, whatever, every year, and you will lose all of it.
Well, I'm going to say this, having, like I said, served in the military and been in combat zones, I think it's cowardly that you use the freedoms that you have here in our country to attack this country. You have the right to do it. But then when you are faced with the exact same thing, and even worse, from another country that is really a foe of this country, you're silent.
Hmm.
because, like you say, it lines your pocket. So, can this be changed? I mean, what is your hope that this can be changed?
I mean, so I actually started to ask this question to myself. I was like, we are calling ourselves the freest country in the world, but are we really free? How can that evil empire like China can fire an American citizen in in you know in an organization, 100% American or organization like NBA? So I was like, started to ask this question to myself, and then the more I researched, the more I realized NBA is not the only one. Like I said again, Hollywood, Wall Street,
Hmm.
academias, big tech, farmland. So um, I think one thing we need to do is first, we definitely have to educate our youth, because if you want to have a better and brighter future, we have to educate our youth. And the second thing, I think tweeting about it, bringing awareness, interviewing is good and amazing. While we have to take some concrete actions. Look at what is TikTok is doing. You know, we are worried about a Chinese spy balloon, and everyone is making a big deal, which it is a big deal, but no one is literally was talking about 150 over 150 million Americans have this Chinese app, spy app on their phone, and they can literally just manipulate our youth. Why China is not allowing Western apps like YouTube, Google, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, but we are allowing a Chinese app, which we know that they're spying on us with that app in our country, you know? So we have to take some concrete actions. We have to like put bills out there. We have to bring some, you know, concrete actions in Congress and Senate. And that's what the lawmakers should come in, and our administration should come in and say enough is enough. Our administration should be more strong against these dictatorships out there.
Well, hopefully, we have less and less people that are on the payroll of the
Mhm.
Communist Chinese Party because their checkbook is pretty thick. And,
Yeah.
in the areas of academia, in our politics, in our business, entertainment, all over the place, they're writing checks to people. And we've got to have folks that think about the American interests and the interests of freedom and not their own special interests.
Yeah.
What's next for Enes Kanter Freedom?
Good question. I mean, I mean, I'm 30 years old. I could have
You're
played
a
another
puppy.
5, 6 years.
You're a
You know,
puppy.
I mean, I'm healthy. I
Yeah.
feel good. I am still in shape. I actually still work out. So I wish I could say basketball, because, I mean, at the end, I love basketball.
Yeah.
I am mad at the NBA for what they're doing, but I love basketball. It was my childhood dream to become an NBA player, and I did it. And now, for what I believed in it, it's gone. So I wish I could say basketball, but not in NBA, not in Europe, because uh, they don't want me to stay in a country for more than 3 days because of the bounty on my head. So I don't think basketball is going to happen. So I created a foundation. You can learn more from it from nsfreedom.org and stuff. So I organize these basketball camps around the world where I invite Christians, Muslims, and Jewish kids and just play basketball. We don't talk about no conflict. We don't talk about no wars. I actually did one in Israel, and I invited like Israelis and Palestinians, and we literally play basketball. They said, "You're crazy. They're not going to play basketball. They're going to fight." But I was like, you know what? Let's give it a try. And I think sport is an amazing tool to bring people together. So that's what I'm trying to do right now. And a lot of people are saying politics, but maybe I think it's too early.
Well, let me make a suggestion. You have a passion for this country, correct? You
Yes.
have a passion for basketball, correct?
Yep.
You have a passion for young people, correct?
Yes.
I think you need to be a basketball coach at either a high school or a small college here in the United States of America. And I would just ask that you pray about that because you are the reason why myself and 4 generations in my family have worn a uniform and fought for this great
Yeah.
nation and fought for liberty and freedom for others. And I would love to see you out there giving your message of hope and of liberty and freedom to young people through your skills and talents as a basketball player. So where can people follow you once again, if you can share that with everyone?
It's very easy. You can follow me on and at NS Freedom on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I usually don't follow anyone because they usually like try to hack me all the time.
Yeah.
So I don't want I don't want other governments to hack my friends or the people I follow. But yeah, at Enes Freedom on Twitter and Instagram.
Well, thank you so much for taking time to be with us here at the Steadfast and Loyal podcast. And
Of course.
when you make that decision to become a basketball coach, let me
I'll
be
let you
one of
know
the
for
first to
sure.
know, okay?
It's
All
a
right.
great idea. Thank you so much.
God bless you, and thank you so much, Enes.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for joining us on this episode of the Steadfast and Loyal podcast. Special thanks to Enes Kanter Freedom for taking time out of his schedule to be with us. And if you enjoyed this podcast, please click the like button, share it with others. And until next time, steadfast and loyal.
Before they burn it down.